Good evening, all. This is Jacob Christner. I am the Pundit's Pundit, a subsidiary of Sideline Sports. And for everybody that knows me, the few that do at least, I'm the one that goes on, that does those little 4-minute blurbs, 6-minute, 10-minute things with my opinions. Basically, Colin Cowherd with no audience. And now this is my first podcast. And one great thing is because of Sideline Sports, I've got a sponsor. It's called Score No Score. It's a new app with a fresh take. Here's the question. Will your team score in the first inning, the first quarter? Now, it might take a few months. After last night, of course, it might take a few months to figure that out. But you will find out about the first quarter tomorrow, as up to tomorrow. If you take any of this, if you take the thing, go to Score or No Score, you can find out. It's in the App Store and Google Play. It's completely different. It's completely different right now. I have a lot of thoughts. It's like, for anybody that watched me, the one thing that they saw was a few months ago, I put up a prediction that I thought was completely and utterly lockstep. I said the Houston Astros were going to win the World Series. This was a 5-month deal. I had this in my head. This was Dusty Baker's time. He was going to win it all. No questions asked. But outside, I put it on there. They were 6 behind in first place, too, so it looked like destiny. Then they faced the White Sox. I had no doubts. I had no doubts they were going to face the Whites. They were going to beat the White Sox. And they did it in 4 games. They whooped them in Comiskey, or at least old Comiskey, guaranteed rate park now. They whooped them there in the game 4. There's the Red Sox. They fall behind 2-1 after getting absolutely clobbered. After getting clobbered for 2 straight games, giving up grand slams. Then they clobbered them for 3 straight. You see, every time that Houston won, they were bludgeoning their opponents. They were just completely bludgeoning them. It was just like death. Dead horse, beat them. Crowbar, bang, 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 bang. It was not like nothing you ever seen. It looked completely obvious that they were going to win this thing. Yeah, I was a little bit cocky. It's just because you just see it. This team was so powerful. But then, when you do anticipate things, you forget something. When you anticipate something like a Houston getting there, you don't anticipate who they're going to play. See, normally you would have thought it would have been the Dodgers. And I thought that was going to be easy because I wasn't impressed with the Dodgers. I wasn't impressed with them whatsoever. Not all through the postseason. And really, I'm not impressed with them with 106 games. I wasn't impressed with that either because they won with it just the same way Houston was winning. They were just bludgeoning their opponents to death. Which sounds like I'm being a little bit, it sounds like a bit of an irony. Why would I give Houston a chance but not LA? It was just because Houston could win in more than one way. That's either here or there. That's not the point of this. Well, anyway, I wasn't impressed at all. I wasn't impressed at all with the Los Angeles. I thought if they face in the World Series, Houston is going to beat them to death. And I didn't. And I thought LA was just too ridiculous. But something happened. The Braves got hot. The Atlanta Braves got hot. And it just killed my prediction. It killed Pundit Cap. See, I call it Pundit Cap. The whole idea of Pundit Cap was I was going to make this whole situation. I was going to make this whole deal work. I was going to make up these predictions. Make these predictions months, year in advance, maybe 2 years in advance, whatever. This was my whole point because I remember years back saying that the Cubs would win the World Series 5 years before. I don't make hot takes like ESPN. I don't make hot takes like ESPN at all. None. I don't do it that way. I don't just make 250,000 hot takes and hope one goes there and then say how right I am. I don't do it that way. I admit I'm right, admit I'm wrong, and I go farther back than a lot of people, which means I got a lot more patience. But even then, when you figure this out, when you have it all figured out, something unpredictable happens, and the Braves happened. They got hot. They were 52 and 55, and then they got hot. They became like the St. Louis Blues in 2019, who were dead last after January, and then they came back. And see, this is what makes the golden era. This is the golden era right now because teams couldn't make those comebacks in those days. These are better athletes now, and they're making these comebacks. And yeah, you're right. This was a close prediction. It was a close prediction. It was, but close doesn't make. You know, I'll admit prediction, but the whole point was close doesn't make this. That I had to win it. But now that I know I haven't won, now I'll talk about the Braves. After losing the All-Star game, after that whole situation, it's going to Colorado, which that's another story for another day. Little quickie on that one. Liberty Media is from Colorado. Liberty Media, the head of people from Colorado in the first place. That's why it went there. But that's another story for another day. After losing the All-Star game, after all the political haggling, everything, they get to the World Series, then they win the World Series. After all the haggling over the tomahawk chop, they win the World Series. After all the haggling about what would they do going back to Houston, the fans took over the park after about the seventh inning. And you know something? I now am glad I lost that prediction. You know, losing a prediction basically ends Pundit Cap, you know? It does. But I don't care right now. I don't. And really, the reason, it's because this city needed it. Atlanta needed it. Very much so. And when we figure this out, what happened with Atlanta over the All-Star game, when we figure that, we know that this was necessary. And then you combine that with Hank Aaron's death. This was needed. Maybe this should have been Dusty's time because this probably is his last chance. Overall, this World Series is I'm trying to, what's a good word? This World Series was a wonderful story. It was a wonderful story between a city that needed this and a manager's last chance. It's like a Disney movie. I mean, how else can you beat that? You really can't. You really can't beat it. And it's like now the Braves are now they're good guys, except with the media. Except with the media. See, they're good guys with the majority of the country. With the majority. Because they beat the bad guys, Houston, the ones that cheated, which that's another story for another day. They beat the bad guys. See, majority of people are going to do the tomahawk chop. Majority of people are not going to care about all the politics. They beat them. Without a doubt. They are the good guys. This is why the media is irrelevant. This is why you can't listen. Because, see, Twitter in the end doesn't matter. Facebook demand doesn't matter. All of those opinions don't matter. Most of those people have 50 friends on their thing, or they got their, or as Bill Maher calls it, the combined viewership of their mom. They're the ones yelling, but the media just brings them, it just makes them relevant. In the end, those people, 40,000 people going out, all those 40,000 people going out, it's wonderful. They're the ones that matter. They are the ones. When I'm back, I'll be back in just a second. with my first guest, Jon Misak, and you'll see who he is really soon. Well, this is very interesting. We're going to be looking all back when everything gets big, and I start to get bigger, and I get more of an audience, and we'll look back at this and laugh. This is so primitive right now. But this is where you all start. We all start somewhere. This is kind of fun, this StreamYard. Nets beat the Hawks tonight. Who cares? Who cares? They're going to get their 57-60 wins, and they're still going to blow it because James Harden's around. That'll be another story for another day. James Harden is on that team. They will never win a ring like that. Yeah. It's kind of fun to see my updates on this on the same spot. This is where our technology goes. This is where it's become now. Whole 2 people watching. After I get my 2 millionth, it's going to be fun. Oh, 1 person now. Sweet. Nah. I remember watching Joe Rogan's very first podcast. It's online right now on YouTube. I saw his, and of course he had more, He had more, but it's like he had more, obviously. He had a name. But it's still kind of fun to catch that, But where does this go? Does this start with a little bit of wall on a phone? Can't wait till I get number 3. That'll be a blast. I'll probably celebrate with milk. I don't know. Welcome back, folks. I'm going to bring up something while I'm waiting for my next guest. My first guest, actually. I'm going to bring up my Bears, my Chicago Bears. One of those things that happens is, give me 1 second, folks. We may not be doing that yet, All right. Here we go, folks. Here they are. Give me 1 second.
Hey,
Jon, we finally figured this out.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure it out. It's like This is my first incredibly primitive thing on the StreamYard.
Oh
Very
yeah.
pundit. Without 10 minutes, of course, my little 10-minute opinions.
Yeah. So how you
It's
doing today?
not bad, not bad. What this is, folks, is Jon Misak. Is that how you pronounce it?
Misak actually, but
Misak.
Misak was actually something my teachers used to say in school. Is like, oh, there's Misak coming in, kind of like humor
Yeah.
joke.
Yeah, his sack, your sack, my sack. Yeah, I know.
Yep.
No, what I brought him on today for is this is a pretty good. This guy's really good at looking at an all 22. And if anybody doesn't know what an all 22 is if you're looking at NFL film, you're looking at NFL film, you see something on all 22 players. It's an angle where you see all 22 players and you can tell what to film, what's going on in the film. And now I know my football.
Yeah.
I predict things, but there are people that know how to read film better than I do. Much better. Jon is one of these people. So I brought him on because one of the first things I was very interested in is I was reading the other day when we were talking. He was talking about the Bills game and something that he saw, even though they won 27-11.
Yeah.
They won 27-11. He saw something that a lot of people didn't see. What did you see that you saw that Buffalo was a little off?
Well, they were missing lanes in the passing game with Stephon Diggs, Manuel Sanders. Just like there were lanes that were just open by a yard, but he just like throws it inside an area where he couldn't get it in that window, which I think a lot of Josh Allen critics would say like he has accuracy issues. But Miami can play good defense. It's just that they leave so many gaps open in their secondary, their linebackers. They were just really sloppy. And the run game, it's mainly Josh Allen, maybe Devin Singletary, but Zach Moss, not that much.
Oh, absolutely. No, and the thing is, it's like we bring up Miami. A lot of people, yeah, of course they're going to give up on Miami. They're not that great of a team. Look at their record. But one of my issues with it is that the fact that they've just gone through some bad luck. This is a team. Got to remember this about Miami. They're a free agent or two away from really something because it is a beautiful city to live in.
Yes.
This isn't like you got to realize you go to Green Bay for Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
You go for that for him. You don't go there. Much as I love the guy, you don't go there for Mitchell Trubisky. And I love the guy in Chicago, but you don't go for him.
Yeah.
You don't go for Jordan Love. You don't go because you're not going to Green Bay, Wisconsin, where it's -3 in July.
That's true.
Yeah, you're not going for those. You're going for Aaron Rodgers. You go to Miami if it was Mitchell Trubisky, and it's not because of him. You go there if it's Blake Bortles. You go there, and it isn't because of Blake Bortles. This is the point. You go. If you're a young draft, you're a young draft choice. If you're a young free agent, young everything, the first step you're going is Miami.
Oh yeah, certainly. Who wants to play in the cold tundra of Green Bay or Chicago, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Cleveland? Who wants to go there in the cold? You want to be like in a Tampa Bay or Jacksonville, Miami, maybe Carolina. Those are nice states to be in.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. It's like North Carolina is beautiful. It's North Carolina is beautiful, and I've sort of lived there for about 6 months. Long story on that, but no, you don't see Miami's not far away. It's just bad luck, and every team gets it, especially especially when that team. Especially when that team had a good end of the year last year, really. And they could have made the playoffs. So this is tough to take. It's tough to take for Dolphins fans when they're seeing bad again, but they're not far away.
They aren't. And for those that may not remember about that last game of the year, that was in Buffalo where it was frigid cold. And you put a rookie quarterback in there. where he's going to probably get hit by the Bills. And I think when you get hit and you're cold, that it throbs a lot longer than you would most likely think.
Oh yeah, no question. It's like, and now you're the Denver fan.
Yes.
As we your background there, it's like I don't see much Kansas City on that wall there, but no, you being a Denver fan, what is really what do you consider the issue right now with this team? Do you think it's ownership? Do you think it's Elway? I mean, how far off do you think it is? And as far as an owner, who would you like to have?
I would like an owner that is hands off, but knows what he's doing when it comes to hiring the personnel that he gets. Like, replace John Elway and have that vice president hire the general manager who will get the coach that will definitely get the on-field product to play a lot better and probably more up to date. The last few years of Denver, it's been really sloppy. A lot of talent has been wasted. Draft picks have not developed the way that they hoped for. It's a restart that needs to happen. They have this window that they think is still open, but it's kind of like the like the old cartoons of Looney Tunes where Wile E. Coyote paints over a boulder of like a road.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's what their window is.
I know what you're saying. You could run it to the wall in a second, or you could be like Roadrunner and go through. Either way, yeah. Really, my big thing, I'm really hoping, and the reason I like Denver, I'll give you the story on that. I was a Bears fan, so I liked Kansas City too. But as a Bears, we used to get, being from Illinois, we had no cable in our house. We were probably the last people in history that didn't have cable. But so we had Saturdays and Sundays. And Saturdays and Sundays were sports. The Sundays were the Bears at 1:00 and Kansas City or Denver at 4. And so we liked Elway. We liked whoever the heck the quarterback was on Kansas City at the time. They didn't have a lot.
Craig Morton?
No. Joe Montana after about 93. Yep. But the biggest thing that we'd see all that. So I was a fan of Elway and I was a fan of KC. And I mean, you saw Okoye, Christian Okoye, you saw all those. What I would love to see, and that's why I liked him and I have a respect for him. What I would like to see with Denver, truly, is, and I'm sorry about that.
That's right.
What I like with Denver is Peyton Manning. And look, the reason is we've seen the Stan Kroenkes. We've seen the Stan Kroenkes of what they're doing. We see Jerry Jones. And see, at least give credit to Jerry Jones. He didn't move Dallas away. I mean, he wasn't. It's still a humongous. That's still a huge brand. He wasn't going to do that, but he didn't. This is the point. Stan Kroenke moved it away from St. Louis, and he's going to pay for that, thankfully. But you don't want to keep dealing with something like this. Really, a town like Denver needs someone that cares about football. No one cares about football more than Peyton Manning. And I would love him personally. I'd love him to be a Bears owner. Go buy that out. Of course I would. You just want somebody that's going to care. And that's the thing. I don't want to see a Jeff Bezos. I don't want to see I don't want to see a Jay-Z. I don't want to see all of these ideas. I don't want the billionaires because I want people that are going to want to try to get Super Bowls, not just for the pot. And as I'm a capitalist as it is, I want that.
Oh, same. I care more about the on-field product where, it's a chess game. You watch every Sunday, maybe Monday night and Thursday night football. That's where I would say I focus on the football a lot. I try not to comment too much on some of the non-football related stuff, but I believe like there should be good team building, chemistry, and something that I think the NFL does need is to have a more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like trash talking, like foolery, this sort of thing, instead of like, the taunting rules.
Yeah, the taunting rules to me, and I'm just making a prediction here, they're going to cause a serious problem when The Rock's XFL, not Vince McMahon's XFL now, but The Rock's XFL comes up.
Oh,
Because
definitely.
Vince McMahon only has a niche name. He's going to get, he did well with the second product. The first product was awful. The second
Oh,
product he did wonderful with. Not wonderful, but just good. He did good
yeah.
with that. It would have been able to, you could have grown from that. But this one coming up, the Rock's name power is going to get some names. It's going to get draft picks. It's going to get draft picks away from the NFL. It's going to get this stuff. It's going to get all this stuff. It's going to get actually, it's going to get what we call upset picks. It's going to get some stars away from the NFL because they're tired of all this. It might get let's just say hypothetical Justin Herbert. It might get Justin Fields. I mean, these are names that could possibly be stars. And it's like if they want to be able to trash talk and do whatever, that could get something like that. Could get could get Jalen Johnson, from the Bears. It could get any of those. Anybody that's been, probably Jalen Wims, which is funny, the one that punched out the, the guy on New Orleans.
Yeah.
It really could get him, but it won't penalize him for being themselves. That's the whole issue.
Oh yeah. I think seeing the guys like having the testosterone just showing on the sidelines when they're celebrating is it's very human, and I think that's what I would say any professional football league should have, because these guys are going to be intense. They're going to be excited for making such great plays, something that they would have never imagined doing.
All right. Oh yeah, and then without losing 15 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, where do you see the Broncos at the end of this year? Forget the whole thing now. Where do you see them at?
Well, since we traded away our star linebacker, I have no issues with it, but I can sense the locker room morale will definitely take a dip. And I'm hoping for a top draft pick at the end of the year and a new coaching staff that will finally fix up that offense and put more depth in the offensive line. Because if you don't have an offensive line, getting someone like Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, if his issues are resolved, they're not going to be good.
That's true. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to let you finish.
No, that's true. It's like, no, I'll tell you one thing that I would love to be able to do is I think one of the greatest things that we could possibly do for ourselves is, and I tell this to everybody, we need to either create our own quote unquote mock war room, or find the war room ourselves and see what it's like. Just get behind that scenes, because my own personal opinion, we can say what they want to after the fact. Why did they choose? I brought up Trubisky earlier. Why did they choose him over Deshaun Watson, over Patrick Mahomes? Well, the Patrick Mahomes thing's more of a lie in the first place. It's something. Yeah. It's something that Stephen A. would want to keep bringing up now that Deshaun Watson's in trouble. But no. But why did they do this? Why did they do this? Why did they do this? Were we behind the scenes? Were we there? And it's like, that's what I really want to believe. I want to think it's like, why wouldn't we at Sidelines Sports?
Yep. Just looking at some of the old mock drafts that I had, because some of them I've been way off and some of them that I have been close to being right on.
Where'd you have?
Like, for example, the 2021 draft, I had... Actually, no, not 2020. In 2020, I had the Dolphins taking Justin Herbert over Tua, with I think the Chargers trading up for Tua, and because I think I heard Anthony Lynn liked him more than Herbert, and the Dolphins would have been taking Justin Herbert, which was a weird coincidence that people.
Draft, how did you figure that? Do you watch a lot of college football, or how did you figure that?
Oh, just gut intuition. I would listen to some of them, but they're sometimes a white noise because, like, oh, is this real or are they just pulling our legs for the
Right.
most part?
Right.
So I'd be going into like my own mental tuition of just like, if this is true, then maybe that's right. But if it really isn't, then why bother listening to it?
Yeah. It's so you had so really the reason I bring that the whole hindsight now of all of these, of all of these saying, "Oh, we should have taken Herbert," after they all loved. And see, you got to remember, this is a really tense political deal.
Yeah.
There wasn't anybody that was going to choose Justin Herbert over Tua Tagovailoa. No one during a really tense time. No one. They were listening to ESPN 24/7, watching the news 24/7. We were during COVID.
Yep.
No one was going to do that. I'm sorry, they weren't. Now they're saying that because Justin Herbert's good. But Herbert struggles, but I'm like, even he's good. Now they're saying this. It's like, this is where I want to bring. This is what I want to bring up about why don't we all set something like this? Why don't we all set up our own mocks? And it's like, and I'm not talking about mock where we're going online and making it stress free. Try to put up the same kind of stress in a certain way. Figure this, we're never going to equal or match that because they're going to be up 72 hours at a time. We will never do that. But it's like, if nothing else, if we don't do our own, why not get behind their scenes? Even if we're interns, figure out how they're doing it.
Oh yeah, I think like for myself, and I don't often, complain with like, oh, this NFL team shows this guy over the other, but I'm gonna keep my tuition as to say, I like this guy much better than the current one. But, the past is the past. They made their decision and either they regret it or they actually done something well for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I want to mention one thing with my 2020 mock for a second.
Yes.
Like how people would say like Jerry Jeudy was like one of the better wide receivers going into the draft?
Sure.
The thing about Jerry Jeudy that wasn't mentioned a lot was how much he dropped the football.
Right.
And his final year in college, he dropped like 6-8 passes in his final year with Tua and with Mac Jones. And once he got to the pros, that dropping started to happen, and he led all rookies in drops.
Yeah.
And the guy that I actually wanted was CeeDee Lamb out of Oklahoma.
Sure.
And
he's wonderful. See, he's wonderful with Dallas, but really though, CD is one of those. CD is somebody, I'll tell you this, he's great with Dallas, but if he would never come back and he would leave, well, I'll tell you a wonderful place he would be great for is Arizona. Just the way that Cliff Kingsbury sets things up. That would be wonderful. And then I'm right now he's great in Dallas, but I'm talking about if they let that, because Arizona's you got to realize for the next 10, 12 years, that's going to be a young coach. He's only 6?
I think so. I didn't look up his age, but he is definitely in his 30s.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, we got to remember McVay's 35.
Yep.
McVay's 35. We got so many young coaches, great young coaches, and it's like, much as I can't stand Matt Nagy's 42. I mean, that's saying that, and I can't stand the guy, but it's like he's 42, 43 himself. And it's like, this is the world we're in now. It's like, remember, John Fox has been to 2 Super Bowls. John Fox has been to 2 Super Bowls. He can't get a job. Mike McCarthy's about this close now to being there. This close. And where are we? I mean, really, how far are we now to Pat Shurmur being out of there?
Oh, he might be out either after this year, and if Denver's crazy enough to keep him, I would say less than half the season in 2022.
Where would he coach? I mean, I'm just saying this. Like, you've got Eric Bieniemy, who's going to be finally getting his shot. You know what I'm saying? Getting through.
Yeah.
Eric Bieniemy. You've got Byron Leftwich. You got Byron Leftwich, which Byron Leftwich to me is a proving ground. He needs a proof, not to, because the one time he did run the show. I'm sorry, he doesn't run the show with Tom Brady, but the one time he ran the show, he had the all-time leader in interceptions, which and that's what that was. And I'm not saying he was bad because he took it a lot. He took a lot of chances, but what's he going to be once it's over, once Tom Brady's gone and he's not there anymore and he's got to take somebody? What if he has to take a first-round draft pick and he has to mold them? He's done this, and it's like it happened. It's like Brady's making him look exceptional.
Yeah, I was going to say without Brady, he would be lucky to be like average, at least like in the top 15, top 16.
Well, here's the thing. What if, and maybe Brady's taught him something. Who knows? He might be a phenomenal coach, but maybe Brady's taught him something. And there's that, but it's like right now, that's a proving ground. We have to find out.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of like also if Matt LaFleur can coach without Aaron Rodgers for this upcoming game.
Yeah. We're going to see that. It's like, really, I think KC blasts them, but then at the same time, KC doesn't have a wonderful. They might just run the ball like crazy, So they don't have a wonderful run defense at all. But
no,
or offense for Root. But really, overall, Denver. I would like to get your opinion right now with Denver. You wake up tomorrow, you're GM. Okay, this means week 9? No, 10. Week 9, right?
Week 9, yeah.
Yeah. Week 9, you're GM tomorrow. Who are you trying to trade? Deadline's gone. Trade deadline's gone, but let's add another day or two. Who do you want for quarterback?
Well, if Teddy Bridgewater continues to struggle and doesn't produce anything for the offense, I would consider a QB change from Teddy to Drew, mainly as in what draft capital can we get from him? Not if he's bad, he's bad. But I want to get draft picks in return during the offseason. And pretty much what Denver should have done during the trade deadline was see what they can get from the free agents going into 2022 and then just try to build from there, because this is not a good roster. The offensive line has bad depth. The linebackers are getting injured. The secondary is maybe young, but see what you got. And if things don't continue, like players giving up on the sidelines, I've watched about 3 or 4 games where I've seen the players just like, another long game. And I think that's something that ruins the locker room, where I would consider either firing Fangio at the end of the season, or kind of like what they did with the Lions did with Matt Patricia and near the back half of this season, like in December.
Yeah. It's like, really though, as far as okay, now that we have this, we're going to next year. Who do you like in free agency as far as quarterbacks?
Ooh, I would say if we get Brian Daboll as our head coach,
yeah,
or Kellen Moore, I would take on Mitch Trubisky as an option, because I don't know what the other quarterback situation is going to go on at the time of this video.
Right.
But I would say I would take Mitch Trubisky if we can get Daboll or Kellen Moore as our head coach. Just like run the offense and get in some sort of rhythm. Because the QB class going into 2022, not really pleasing.
Right. Well, see, here's the thing, what you're going to get. You're talking to somebody who had 4 years of the guy. I did love him. But I loved him. My main enjoyment of Trubisky is it wasn't Cutler. Cutler, and it wasn't that it's like four interceptions, don't care. 4 touchdowns. Yeah, it wasn't that. You got yourself somebody who, the main thing I loved about him was the fact that he could be having a bad game and yet he'd come up with a big play. Forget that with Cutler. If he had great plays, he was having a great game. If he had bad game, forget it. It was pathetic. But the thing about Trubisky, here's what you're going to get from the guy. Doesn't give up on a play. Doesn't give up on a play at all. I mean, watch, if you ever see video one year, for last year, watch week 1 of last year against Detroit. Escaped from a face mask sack and went 20 yards, changed the game. He has that play. Watch the 2018 game. You saw that Fields run last week.
Yes.
That Fields run, that was unbelievable. That throw was unbelievable. But it's like if you watch the field, if you watch a Trubisky run where he ran back like 68 yards to go 4-8. It went total 68 yards, but he did that too, and then he just kind of jogged into the end zone. It's like you'll get that, but you also get a guy who misses wide receiver. He misses wide open guys, and it's just he misses wide open guys, and it's going to drive you nuts. And then, here's the thing: he'll miss wide open guys and dump off to the first guy. And that's 7 yards, 5 yards, 7 yards, 3 yards. I mean, it's still forward. But you'll see, you're going to see a wide smack dab open guy out, probably 60 yards downfield. And it's like that could have been a touchdown. But there you're asking yourself, does he have the confidence to pitch that, or did he see him? And that's where you're going to wonder. But here's the thing, you will win more games. There's no question. You just get yourself a run game. Get a solid run game, 150, 175 yards a game. That guy can run the ball also. He can do the thing. He's a solid manager. And you'll win ball games, might win even a playoff game or whatever. You know what I mean? You might get that. But that's until the fact that you can get yourself – like I said last year with the Bears, and the fans did not listen, and nobody listens, obviously. I'm not that big of I don't have that big of an influence. But like I said, replace him properly.
Yes.
Replace him properly. It's like when they didn't replace him properly, you got Foles, and that was 2-5, and that was like 240 yards a game.
Ugh.
Yes, that replace him properly. You can't run Foles on an RPO. Replace him properly, and that's what I'm saying to you guys. If you get Mitch, replace him properly. Otherwise, keep him a decade. It's like you're not going to get worse than 8-9, 9-8, 10-7 with him. You won't. He's solid every year. There's mistakes made where you're not going to be 14-3, 15-2. You're never going to be that. That's not. He's not Patrick Mahomes.
No.
But 10-7 is better than where you're at kind of right now, and where you've been over the years. 11-6 even. It's like if you are to replace him, go get a monster thing and say goodbye. But until then, keep it a decade. Don't let yourself get screwed up.
Yeah, I would say also with Mitch are the mistakes on him, or is it from the bad coaching of Nagy? But
oh boy, I was going to bring that up before you came in, but I'm glad because I never gotten to you.
Yep. I would say this: if Mitch has those same problems from Nagy, where, as you mentioned, missing open guys, then that would be an issue. Another thing I would say, he's had shoulder injuries on both arms.
Or labrum, yeah.
So that would give me a little bit of a worry, but I would take on a coach.
It was his not throwing arm, but yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, so I wouldn't if I had to have Mitch with any other coach, I wouldn't be on board with it. But if you give me a coach that actually understands how to utilize him and give him a run game, make him throw on the move, all that sort of good stuff, then I'm on board with it and probably thinking 9-8, 10-7 as like the ceiling, because I'm not expecting anything when we have the Chiefs and Chargers in our division.
Well, maybe 11-6 even. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. I could see it hitting that on a good. You get a hot start and catch a little. Get a little cold streak. It's like, but see, here's the thing. It's like let's forget Mitch for a second there. Here's another thing that's going to start happening that worries me with Denver. Nagy will be gone from Chicago. There isn't a question in my mind, and he's going to look for another job. And he's not going to look for another job. His agent. All of these coaches have the same agents. Ooh. So, yeah, he's going to give himself another job, and I promise you he's going to go talk to have a nice conversation with Elway. Here's really, where else? Where else, really? I mean, because all the bad teams, the truly bad teams, Miami's not far away.
No.
Cincinnati's gotten up. Cincinnati's gone up. It's like, okay, Jacksonville, he ain't going to go to a one-win team. That's the one team that's got no future, really. They're the ones that could probably go in a few years. In the first place, he ain't going to go to a one-win team. He's going to go to a team that has, remember, 7 wins, whatever Denver could be, 6 wins.
Yeah.
He'll go and say, oh, I've improved them. There's your thing right there is Matt Nagy. And, yeah, that's where you're gonna have your 3rd and 17 with 3-yard curls.
Yep. Oh, God. You know what's weird is that I remember Matt Nagy when he was coaching the Kansas City Chiefs in 2017.
Right.
And they had some ups, but they had some really bad downs. And I remember most specifically in the second half of the Titans in the wild card game at home, where they didn't.
22 point, they blew 22 point lead.
I believe so. Yeah, it was just like, what on earth was Nagy doing? That he didn't have a run game. He was asking Alex Smith to throw the football a lot. It just didn't make sense to me at the time. And
he does. See, he thinks he's Landry. He thinks he's Tom. See, the one thing about Tom Landry, and I see a lot of people watch Tom Landry from Football Life. I had Tom Landry from 1984 when I was 6 years old, and I had a vivid memory of football. Weirdly, I did. He was getting older by that time, so I didn't get the best of Landry. The one thing about him, he had a system, but he could put up with this. You could put up with his system because he invented half the NFL. He invented it. He invented the 4-3s. He invented every little type of defense. He invented the flex. He invented the shotgun. He invented every single detail. He can do this. You can go with the system when you have the Godfather. Plus the fact he was an engineer.
He was.
He was an engineer. So all of his plays looked like a blueprint that can be understood. You have to study, and you better be smart. You better be intelligent. Matt Nagy's not that guy. Here's what Nagy is, and let me give an unusual amount of credit on this one. You're going to figure this out. Once he would get a house in Denver, hypothetical.
Yeah.
What you're going to see in his basement is a wall of plays. There's a wall in there in his basement. And it's probably something you can just peel off in the thing, and he'll put it back on in that thing. He's obsessed with football. There's the credit I'll give. He loves it, and he probably knows every play from 1946 all the way to 70, all the way to 90. He's probably phenomenal on a whiteboard. Going into football camps for 11th graders. He's probably exceptional at describing this. Problem is putting it together against a phenomenal defensive guy like Todd Bowles. Nothing. It's like putting it together against these tough. Like he'll be playing Pittsburgh's D on Monday. It's going to be a disaster. Pittsburgh's always got a monstrous D, even if it's tough, even if it's rough, even if their defense is not as good as normal. You still get hit.
Oh yeah,
and it's like. They're still tough, and it's going to be ugly. He can't game plan for those. And that's what you're going to see. You're going to see somebody that can describe everything. He just can't put it together.
Yeah, it's just that you have a mental picture in your head, and then as you try to put it into work, it's just like all over the place. I will say that there is one thing with Nagy. I remember you told me this during the 2020 season was – he's a guy that will, probably ask you, what were you looking at when you make this sort of error or make this bad completion or sort of thing. I remember more vividly the Bears game between the Buccaneers. That was the one thing I remember. You told me, you got to, when you're coaching, it's just like, I want you to tell me what you saw out there. What did you see? And pretty
Balls,
much, yep. Thing with Nagy is he's a motivator, but I
yeah,
think he's just like really sloppy when it comes to calling plays. And the 49ers game, just to speak on that for a second, there are plays that Justin Fields really looked good outside of like the stat sheet. And they went into things that they should have been doing earlier, like bootlegs and read options that they
mm,
should be doing more, and trying to get Fields into a good rhythm, which I don't know if Nagy's going to learn that, but I think the next coach, if they do fire him, is going to have full benefits of it. Like, you guys have a good wide receiving core, running back duo. I would say a very solid defense if everyone's all healthy. Offensive line needs work, but maybe Tevin Jenkins coming back from his injury should
yeah.
be well needed.
Well, one of the big helps we have right now is the fact that it's not Charles Leno on the left-hand side. It's Jason Peters. And yeah,
Yeah.
Jason Peters is oft injured. He's a big moose. He's a
Yep.
he's a big, enormous moose that pulls hamstring, but you can't get by him when he is healthy. And
Yeah.
it's like he's enormous. And it's beautiful to watch, and he's got an attitude, and I love it. But that feels so good, but how long is he going to be there? But the issue with it is the fact that it was a beautiful game, absolutely gorgeous game on the Sunday as far as Fields.
Yeah.
107 yards passing, 100 yards, 103 yards in rush game. And it was because while it was Nagy's scheme, while it was his scheme,
Yeah.
he was there. And when someone is not there, it means you don't handcuff them. It means the cat is away, the mice will play. And in this case, you wanted the mice to play. You want him to think. And if I'm a coach myself, if I have a special talent like that, I want to let the ego aside. That's my coaching. Is I want him to learn it. And I think it's what Bruce Arians figured out. Bruce Arians almost killed himself physically a lot of years by trying to do everything, trying to get every little detail, and he almost killed it. He admitted himself he almost killed himself a bunch of times. Had the headaches, everything, by trying to do it all. And then he learned how to delegate. Finally learned. And now he's in Tampa, where he can delegate it to the greatest quarterback ever. And it's like, and guess what? Good. He was a quarterback whisperer for Peyton Manning, the only guy that Manning ever listened to.
Yep.
He knows what he's doing. So it's like, if Tom Brady's going to carry him to rings, he's earned it. He had 40 years of dealing with all this.
He certainly did, yeah. I remember one of the takes of Arians was he told Manning, and Manning mentioned this, like a window like this open.
Is open. Is open.
It's very much open. And I think that's what's interesting about the Arians system was that he, told quarterbacks, hey, if you can sling it, you have the arm to do it, sling it.
No risk it, no biscuit.
Right.
My anger toward Bears fans, I'll tell you this, and I'll give you this little story. I have a bit of an anger toward Bears fans. It's like, it's really started when they replaced Orton with Grossman, because I already knew Grossman had horrible turnover issues.
Yes.
And he was sloppy. He had a beautiful arm, but I already knew that. I was celebrating every Sunday with my buddy of mine. We were still celebrating. I was a highly emotional person at the time, which is ironic now. Now. I knew that. And we get in, and there goes the Super Bowl. That 14-6 in the first quarter, and then after all the last three quarters, he had 5 turnovers by himself. And here's the question. Let me tell you this. Is Kyle Orton better as far as a quarterback than I asked this. Is Kyle Orton better as a quarterback? You saw Kyle in Denver. Is Kyle as a talent better than Rex Grossman?
I think he's a better decision maker.
Right there. Right there. That's what I was saying. Is he better? But is Kyle Orton a turnover machine?
Not often, no.
No.
I think a good Kyle Orton could get you passable, but using him too much, and it's just like then the mess starts coming in.
Yeah, but he wasn't that even in his worst, and you guys were going, he wasn't a turnover machine. Guess what? In that Super Bowl, all Kyle Orton had to do was throw the ball 15 times. Go dump down 7. You know what I mean? Dump down 7, let Thomas Jones run it. Let the defense do. The defense was the defense let it go because they were on the field too much, all those turnovers.
Yep.
If Orton was on that field, he'd have 1 turnover in that whole game. The Bears would have won that game. And that is where I get angry with Bears fans, because they ask and yell and scream, and the Bears brass listens to them. They always want something different. They always turn on you. And in this case, it cost the Super Bowl. And then they gave so much rope to Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler was the reason there's no Bruce Arians in Chicago. And then it was Mark Trestman, because Mark Trestman was going to be nicer and he's going to be Mr. Analytical. And it could have been, but he didn't want to hear Bruce Arians give him hell. And that is where I have anger with Bears fans, because they give so much rope to the stupidest things and they give up on the easiest. But that could be most fans.
Yeah, that actually kind of surprised me, thinking that Jay Cutler can't handle Arians, and I know Arians will rip him a new one. That's for sure.
Especially with the 4 interception game.
Oh yeah, probably be red as a cherry.
Oh, I know. Let's switch. I was going to switch. We got a couple more little segments I'm going to do with you real fast. It's like, I know very well you're a pick guy.
Yep.
And people that don't know Misak.
Misak, yep.
Misak. It's like, for people that don't know, he's a pick guy. He goes on. He's on Facebook. He goes on Facebook, and he's and possibly Twitter, and that thing. And he does NFL picks for the week. Last week, not so good, 5-10.
Yeah,
but 5-10. And really, and in truth, and you've always known what I was honest with you about. It's like you're always, and you may listen, you may not, but the biggest thing I've always said to you is you're really good at what you do, but you live off of fake momentum.
There are some bad ones, I'll admit. They're like, I don't know why I even picked the Jaguars over the Seahawks. That one was a bad choice.
Upsets have got to have, you got to feel it in the air. You got to feel it in the air. It's like, it's like, what was a reasoning for it? It's like, you got to realize Geno's not enough of a reason, because Geno still had a run game. He still runs the ball. He's not a good quarterback. Still runs the ball. You still have DK. You still have Lockett. You still have, it wasn't like he was missing 3 of his wide receivers to COVID. So you got to have a reasoning for things. So that's what I was bringing up. So I was going to go into let's go to this week's picks.
Yes.
Who do you got between the Jets and Colts tomorrow night?
Obviously the Colts.
Right. Well,
there's no way that Mike White repeats that same performance. No way.
I barely knew who Mike White was before this game in the first place. Mike White sounds like a practice starter that's on a 7th team, like a practice game. When the practice team people on a 7th team, that'll be a coach one day. But it's like, but congratulations to him for a 400-yard game, because he's done something a Bears guy has not done. Oh, geez, over 20 years. I mean, Jim Miller had 468, but that's been over 20 years since the Bears 400-yard game. That's crazy. I'll tell you this. I've got the Colts. I do think White gets close to 300, because it'll be garbage time. I don't think the Jets going to keep up that deal. I think he's got an arm. I think he's got nice decision making. But Saleh, I like Robert Saleh as a coach, but he still has a lot of things to deal with. They got mistakes, make a lot of penalties, a lot of stupid penalties. It's like, see, the Jets are going to be a dangerous team to really tough teams. I mean, they've already beaten the Titans. They've already beaten Cincinnati.
Yep.
They already are dangerous in those things, but they're not there yet. I mean, they're probably 2 years away, to be truthful. But if they want patience keeps Saleh around. He's a darn good coach.
Yeah, I do think there's something with the Jets defense that is a little bit underrated, but I think a few more pieces they should be fine from.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say 2019 49ers, but I would say at least middle of the pack or maybe top 10 at best.
Right. Absolutely. It's like, well, okay, what do you got, Browns and Bengals?
Browns and Bengals, obviously, I'm going with the Bengals in this one. I think a bad taste in Cincinnati's mouth losing to the Jets, and they have the Browns who are obviously struggling. It should be Bengals to win. Cleveland is honestly a mess. They losing their right tackle for multiple weeks. Their interior is not that good. Teams are starting to stuff Nick Chubb and Dearness Johnson. Wide receiver connection with Baker Mayfield with, only one good shoulder is not pleasable to watch. And defense is just wildly inconsistent.
Oh, it's so amazing that the Browns are supposed to be the playoff contenders, But really, Bengals and Browns are weird. They are a weird rivalry.
Yep.
Because, now help me here. Who was the dude with 400-yard game on the Browns? Let's see. He came from Notre Dame.
Kid from Notre Dame with 400 yards.
Yeah, 400-yard game with the Bengals. And he was a horrible quarterback. I forget the name. Someone's going to come up with it someday when they see this on, Yeah, it'll come to me in a second. But they have weird games. You can't tell. But you can't tell based off of momentum. But it's like the Bengals have Jamar Chase, and he hasn't quit on anything. I don't think I was telling somebody, I don't think the Bengals are ready yet to really. They're about a year or two away, also, but they're going to be a winning team. Zach, the coach there, Zach Taylor, he's got something going, which I didn't see coming this fast.
Oh, same here.
But they're not quite ready to be that yet. It's like, being where the people expect the Chiefs, where the Bucks, they're not ready there yet to get that division just handily. They can still take it, but it's not just a guarantee yet. They're not there. Like that game against the Jets was proof that it's like the teams that win those. Mind you, I'll tell you about the Chiefs in a minute. They are the Chiefs of the past, of the Bucks. They will murder you. They murder those things and stuff like that. It's just a beating. Those teams, it's like Nick Saban with Alabama. It's like they don't let the Citadel come by. Maybe the Citadel will get that little lead for a minute, and then it's 60. They run 60 points in a row.
Yeah,
they are just nasty teams, and they don't let up, and they don't make mistakes. The Bengals aren't there yet. I will say the Bengals. I'll say the Bengals by a field goal.
I have it 4-point difference, but I wouldn't be surprised with a field goal.
Broncos and Cowboys.
Cowboys. I think Dak will definitely torch our defense, and the front seven of the Cowboys is definitely going to make Teddy Bridgewater try to go deep because Micah Parsons is going to be able to fly right to the running back or tight end. That's going to be one of Teddy's checkdowns.
I'll tell you, I like Fangio's D's. Okay?
Yeah.
I like them. They are bend but don't break. He doesn't have what he had in 18 at the Bears. But I remember that night. I remember that Thursday night where, it should have given up 50 against the Browns. Should have given up.
Yeah.
And it was 17-14, 2014, something like, and I'm like, that is called, and that's on the road. Maybe it was Keenum. Maybe it was. But Case started off 2 drives immediately, just blowing down them. And it should have been 50. And who knows what it would have been with Baker. But just to be able to adapt like that shows he just needs to be a defensive coordinator. Because
sure.
He needs to be, because they held up and they just don't have an offense. Really, it would not shock me. And I'm just saying this, it would not shock me at all if the defense, a second. If his
Yep.
defense, I mean, if the Cowboys had a quick 2 touchdowns and then didn't see a whole lot, 27-10, I could see something like that. But Denver, that defense, it's like maybe they don't have the same as they once did as far as Vaughn, especially when they don't have Vaughn anymore. But they're back, and it's like, and Fuller's terrible. He was a cornerstone in Chicago, and now he's terrible. But they hold up, and it's like I could see something like 27-10, and you would think it was gonna be 60.
Yep. Yeah, it was just like when I look at the players and on that Thursday night game, it was just like it was 10-0, and I just see players just like with their heads up, looking at the scoreboard, thinking, "God, this is gonna be a long night," and it's unacceptable.
Yeah,
and I think also another factor, Denver should be a better run team because our running backs are able to get over 4 yards a carry, mainly Javonte Williams, and they just like avoid him in the run game. Like he should be getting like 20 touches, 25 at least.
Oh yeah. It's like that's what you're bringing up the thing with Trubisky for a second. If you would get him for like a next year, get a run game, because I promise you're going to see 185 to 200 a game. Because considering he can run also, considering he had a year off sitting and can be able to watch that, and Dable runs. I mean, that's the thing. It's like when Dable has a guy. I mean, Dable has Zach Moss right now. It's not a big thing. He'll run when he's got him. So those are the things that you want to see there. Okay, but the thing is, I think about 27-10 Cowboys.
28-21.
Well, that'd be closer than we thought.
Teddy's going to put up garbage time points.
Yeah, I can see that part. Texans and Dolphins.
This is a game I really don't like, but I'm going with the Dolphins in this one. Texans are just too much of a mess, and Davis Mills is not showing me anything.
Davis Mills belongs on the PGA Tour. That's what that name sounds like.
He probably had that long neck of his to just see over the golf course and through the trees.
He sounds like a magnet. He's like Stetson Bennett. They sound like Wall Street magnates' kids. It's like Stetson Bennett the fourth, and it's like they both have girlfriends named Buffy. It's like from the 80s, and 80s and 90s. The old jokes with rich people. It's like that's what those names sound like. But really, I'll tell you who I feel. I mean, Davis Mills is doing the best he can. I'm not gonna get on him. He's not a great quarterback. He ain't gonna play anywhere else. Yeah, you know what he'll get. He's going to get back because he's started. He knows the leagues and he's had reps. He's going to get back. He's going to get back up for the rest of the year, get spot starts for the rest of his career, and he's going to become a coach. And good for him, because it means you got an extra decade to 2 decades in the NFL from that alone. And this is, even if it's the worst team in the NFL, good for you, because that's what happened with Josh Johnson. Josh Johnson, I wouldn't say he was going with the worst teams in the NFL, but he got his spot starts. He got himself a chance at all that. He's on his 11th team.
Yeah.
And people on Twitter that don't know anything about football can make fun of that, but he's going to be a coach. And he knows every single OC loves him because he knows every playbook.
Incredibly smart.
Very much so. And as far as the Texans, I feel sorry for that part. It's like Davis Mills get that, but I feel sorry for Lovie Smith. He's a good defensive coordinator, is out of his element with this team. I remember his Thursday night game. They were in it for a while. He knows what he's doing, but they're just now have a lot of talent, and they're just a mess.
Oh yeah, I would say too is like if Tyrod was playing, they would have had the Texans winning, but I think with a rookie quarterback against Brian Flores' defense, he should have some tricks up his sleeve. And I don't know about the other Texans receivers that's going to outplay Byron Jones and Xavier Howard.
Yeah, I got the Dolphins like 30. I'll take the Dolphins 35-7.
24-21.
Got a close game there.
Yep.
The Falcons and Saints.
Saints.
Yeah,
I don't trust the Falcons' offensive line with the Saints D line, and Falcons D can do little of something, but it's not going to be enough.
You and I are gonna have more agreements than disagreements this week, but we're gonna do that mostly this week. But I mean, for that, but in this week we're gonna agree with a lot. I got to go to Saints. It's really you're gonna. I mean, you're probably gonna have Taysom Hill. You've got that system, and the only thing that we got to see is the fact that Taysom Hill is not going to. He still doesn't know how to. They still don't know how to utilize Alvin Kamara properly with Taysom Hill for whatever reason. Whatever reason, we saw 5 games of that last year. It's not going to change now. It doesn't change just with a whiteboard. There's just some reason. There's some reason he just likes to run it himself. It's like he's not going to get the same touches. He's not going to get. I mean, I always say this: any other quarterback, Kamara's going to eat. But if it's Taysom Hill, he's not going to eat that much. He'll probably get 12 points on fantasy. So it's like. But as far as the Falcons, here's the thing. Arthur Smith does not have his quarterback. I love Arthur Smith. He did well with Tannehill. Did tremendous with Tannehill. He did those. And it's like, and he had nice rollouts, but he's a 4-play and hit touchdown. He had Derrick Henry. He has all those long runs, those rollouts, the RPOs. I mean, long, tough hits. He's not a 12-play touchdown guy. He's not a 12-play touchdown guy. That's what they have had to deal with right now. And Matt, as much as he can say nice things about Matt Ryan, it's not his guy.
Nope.
A Justin Fields would have been his guy. A Justin Fields, he would have gotten something out of immediately. People are wondering what they're getting out of Arthur Smith right now. You just wait till he gets his quarterback, and you'll see. As far as the Saints, that's a rivalry game. I think that's going to be like a 42-31 game.
I have it lower scoring, 24-17. I just, with the unknowns of the quarterback position, I can't go, high scoring in there.
Right. Raiders and Giants.
This was actually a tougher game to predict. I'm going with the Raiders. Giants are way much of a mess. But like I said, it's a hard game to predict because the Raiders are really bad when going to the East Coast.
That's an interesting thing. I got the Raiders. I like Bisaccia. See, I didn't like Gruden to begin with. Forget the whole thing. That's another story, another day. Yeah. I'm going to bring that part up right now. I'm not going to bring up the emails. I didn't like Gruden. You heard me. I did not like Gruden. I never thought they were going to win with him. I like Bisaccia because he's a 38-year NFL guy that understands he has one chance at this, and he's delegating everything. Tremendous, well-respected. They're going to play. They're going to play well with him. Derek Carr doesn't. Tragically, he doesn't have one of his main receivers anymore. But I will tell you this, though. It's like that's another story, another time. But I'll tell you this, ball-wise, he's going to use Darren Waller to death now, or he's going to use Renfro, and he's going to use those. Both of them are going to hit 100 yards. There's no Henry Ruggs anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the Raiders. I get the Raiders 24-20.
Oh, I have a closer score of 27-24.
But Giants?
No, Raiders.
Oh, okay.
I like I said, this game could go either way. It could be a 3-point win for the Raiders, or if you remember the Falcons game from last year, where it was like 45-6. It can go either way.
Patriots and Panthers.
Obviously, the Patriots. Carolina's a young team, and Belichick is going to be making Matt Rule look like a fool on the sidelines. And why on earth are you trusting Sam Darnold to go up against Belichick? I think he hasn't even had one win against them in his entire career.
The thing is, I think this is going to be one of Belichick's top coaching seasons.
Yep.
He has got a rookie who is green, and he is figuring the right. And there are pundits on NBC and all of them who wonder why he doesn't take chances with the guy. He's telling it if it's not there. He knows how to run the ball well. He's got a defense. He is doing what they should have, like Lovie Smith should have done with having a Kyle Orton for the Super Bowl. And I'm saying this in 06, 07.
Yes.
This is what Belichick would be doing with Mac, is what Lovey should have done of having a Kyle Orton instead of a Rex Grossman.
Yeah.
Does 10, 15 throws, run the ball, let the defense do it. It's like you could have had Mac Jones in that Super Bowl instead of Tom Brady. They would have won 13-3. And it's like the Bill Belichick shows that he could do that. And in truth, I could see Patriots winning this game 13-3.
I have a little bit more high scoring game because I think the Panthers may have a pick six or something where I'm going to have a 26-16.
Okay. Bills and Jags.
I don't think there's going to be a long conversation. Bills and I have it 45-16.
I'm going to say Bills get 50. And Trubisky has 18 snaps this year. I'm going to say he's going to get about 15 more. He's going to it's going to be garbage time. No, the Bills the Bills really, they're pissed off, and they're going to get really hot really soon from that last loss. And then they had a tough game with the Miami. Miami always gives them tough games. I'm going to say 51-6. I'm just going to go round numbers on that. It's like the Jags are terrible. Urban Meyer's out of his league, and he's ruining this kid just like Nagy is ruining the Fields.
Yeah.
And the kid is just the kid's got talent, obviously, but he's not going to show it. And you can't have Urban Meyer much longer for this.
You cannot, no.
And I will bring it up, Mitch, and I bring him up a lot more than most pundits ever would, including this thing. We laugh because I like the guy, but I'll tell you, a perfect situation in Buffalo. Phenomenal coaching, tremendous players, a great fan base, and in all truth, I'd rather he stay. He's going to be there a year. He's going to go somewhere else. I'd rather he stay 2 or 3 more. Go get himself a ring. Go get a ring and then up your, because regardless of where he goes, because that ring is going to up his free agency, even if it wasn't. Fans don't understand this. The backup thing, if they're going to get that, can up their value because they're the one running the scout team to help the starters.
Yeah,
means he knows. So that's going to up that. Stay to get it. That's what I do on that thing. Stay, get that ring, and make your value, especially the coaches that know.
Yeah, kind of like what Patriots players have done over the years.
Absolutely. Vikings, Ravens. Yeah.
I don't trust the pass. I don't trust the pass blocking for the Vikings to keep Kirk Cousins upright.
All right. And it's like I've got the Ravens too. I like, even though they talk about not liking the defense because they don't like the defense because of what the Bengals did. But overall, that's still a good Ravens D. And I don't like Kirk Cousins in any situation, especially in whether it's prime time or anything like that. I didn't like him when they replaced Keenum. He might as well have kept Keenum and get the same results, and instead of paying that kind of money.
Yeah, I get a lot of Vikings fans that say, why didn't we keep Keenum? We could have just kept Keenum for a cheap deal.
And screw the hindsight. I knew. Screw their hindsight. I knew before they did. But I'm going to say Ravens 31-20.
30-27.
Yeah, 3 interceptions by I say 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions by Cousins. He does get his. There's no question. Chargers, Eagles.
This one I think might be the disagreement. I'm actually going with the Eagles.
Why is that? I mean, it looks like you're doing your momentum thing again. It's fake.
Well, I'll say this from watching the Chargers games because I watched the Game Pass of all the AFC West and the future opponents that we're going to be going up against. I don't like the Chargers' run defense. They are honestly horrible. I think even by stats and by watching them play, they leave such big gaps that Jalen Hurts could run through. The running backs can go through. I do think that their pass defense is better.
Yeah.
But I think that run defense is going to milk the clock away where Justin Herbert's going to have little time to get through. And I don't like the Chargers' offensive line going up against Fletcher Cox, Josh Sweat, Darius Slay, Steven Nelson, and Anthony Harris, where I think they're going to try to take away those Keenan Allen and Mike Williams.
Eagles don't have a great defense. They don't have a great D at all. It's like it's not the rough D that you saw in 2017, the rough, tough D.
Yeah.
Now, I like Jalen Hurts, but he's all by himself. He really is. And being white by yourself against the Lions, who I believe have a future. Lions have a future, I believe, truly. It's just funny. But they're still they're not good yet. So no, it's like the Eagles right now, Eagles are able to kill a team like the Lions. But the Chargers, they don't have once Justin Herbert. See, here's the thing: Justin Herbert's struggling a little when he gets really, really hot. I could see this. I could see this being a 48-40 game.
I feel like this might be a 26-23. And like I said, I don't base it around momentum. I just I know that the Chargers are going to be a team that's going to falter at some point of the year. And I think this might be one of the starts where they're going to lose to an inferior team.
Yeah. Packers and Chiefs.
Chiefs. No Aaron Rodgers, no win.
True. And I've been saying it from the get-go. You've heard me 1,000 times, Justin. I mean, Jordan Love is garbage. And that's going to be proved. And if they're even talking about the fact that Blake Bortles will be coming back to go get to that thing, they don't trust him. They don't trust him at all. They're going to be doing they're going to be doing the Tecmo Bowl of plays with Jordan Love. It's going to be the same stuff over and over.
Yep.
The thing is, here's the thing with the Chiefs. They are struggling, and I say good, not because of hate. That's your job. But it's not saying that good, because sometimes as a team, here's the thing. The Bears never got this. I was a Bears fan in the 80s.
Yep.
They were so dominant outside of 1 year in the 84 to 88, then 89, they struggled a bit. They didn't have any time. See, the Bears, 3 different times in the 80s, won 6 in a row. 3 different times. They were amazed at the team hitting 6 in a row, or like the first time ever, blah, blah, blah. Bears did it 3 times in the 80s. Did it 1 more time with Lovey. I mean, it's but I'm just saying, they did it 3 times in the 80s. The Bears of those 80s never had that time where they actually struggled ever, other than those times. And it's even when they were 11-5 in the 90 and 91, winning close games, they always won 3, 4, 5 in a row, 4 in a row, whatever. And then they get that. Maybe they lost to the good teams, but they had that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Bears didn't have that. And they probably could have used it when they were losing those playoff games after the Super Bowl. The Chiefs are having in that situation now where they needed that. They need to know they're invincible. The Giants can go into their stadium and possibly almost win, that they can struggle. Because right now, this is the time they can take out the Packers like they can do with this. This is in Kansas City. And this is their time they can do this. If they don't take advantage of something like this might be a lost season, but they need it regardless. Because they don't need to hear 20-0 and them get cocky and Jackson Mahomes getting mouthy. They don't need this. They need to get back to business and become what they are. But you need this sometimes as a team.
Oh, yeah. And I think a lot of the times, their defense is just schemed the wrong way where, why is your best safety playing in the box? And, why do you have your linebacker playing where he's supposed to be? And KC is honestly a mess. They're a mess on a defense, but Mahomes can't play perfect like he did every single year before 2021.
Oh yeah, definitely, no question. And I'm going to say Chiefs. I'm going to say Chiefs 27-17.
35-21. I think Jordan Love may have a couple of interceptions that could result in Chiefs touchdowns, either by pick 6 or on the goal line.
Cardinals 49ers.
49ers. Kyler Murray with a bum ankle is going to really slow him down. And Jimmy Garoppolo had his best statistical game. And I don't think Arizona is going to be able to stop him.
I'm not going to go momentum like I say. I never do. I think it's fake week by week. But the whole point of the mouthing Jimmy Garoppolo is the narrative of wanting to get Trey Lance in there. And that's what everybody is. That's where that goes. That's what Yeah, Garoppolo is more than fine, but he's less than amazing. He does his job. You can still get 3 plays for 70 yards down the field like nothing with him, and you can get to that. It's the biggest thing is the Cardinals have a quarterback with a bum ankle is not going to be able to move around, and they're going to kill him when he's staying in the pocket.
Yep.
Oh, and because he ain't going to be able to move around, and you're going to see a lot of fantasy points go down this week. From on that kind of thing, whether it's Christian Kirks, whether it's DeAndre Hopkins, he's gonna get his, but it's not going to be the same 30 and 40. It ain't going to be that. He's not going to roll. He can't get them open all the time. They're going to have an early down, and then the 49ers going to take advantage. I'm going to say 30-27.
Yeah, I have a 28-24.
Yep, and then 2 more: Titans and Rams.
Rams. No Derrick Henry. You're basically gonna Tannehill's gonna have to try lifting the team.
Oh, and it's gonna be a slaughter. They're trying to bring AP back, and it's gonna be pathetic. It's going to be pathetic. That's just the truth. Yeah. See, I love AP, but he hasn't had reps, and you are going on a team with that just runs you into the ground. It's going to get him hurt. And anybody that got him on a fantasy team right now is going to feel themselves because he's probably going to be out there in the second quarter. He just hasn't had reps. I'm just being true. I'm going to say Rams 31-14.
31-28. I think Tannehill could have some garbage time points, or the game could be closer than you think.
And finally, Bears Steelers.
Well, I have to hurt the Bears fan base to say I'm going with the Steelers. I don't trust the offensive line of Chicago. And even though I have a really low scoring game of 19-17.
I got the Steelers, and if you give 17 to Nagy's offense, you're being generous. Horrible. It's like, no, the Nagy's offense, if he scores 10, I'll run into a cactus. I'll run into a cactus thing and then run into alcohol. Nagy he's going to handcuff Fields again. And everything you saw last week will be nothing this week. And then Fields is 3 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That could probably go up. The Steelers have a solid defense. And you know something? I remember when I said about Ben Roethlisberger, he's the last legs, but he's going to have that magical game.
Yeah.
It's going to happen this game. Because I love Sean Desai and where he's going, but he doesn't have the personnel yet. He doesn't have the personnel to get what he wants. They're going to smoke the backfield. He's going to have one of his about 320-yard games. He's going to have one of those last magical games. Yeah.
I will say one thing, actually 2 things with the Steelers. One, they play down the teams, so they may overlook how bad the Bears' offense is, or they just don't prepare things properly than you think. And 2, we don't know what's going on with the Steelers' kicking situation since Boswell suffered a concussion.
Yep. Well, I am, as you see right here in my primitive self, I've been working from the phone tonight, going to be working, getting that through. So, this is my very first thing, so I've just had to move it over to a charger.
Yep.
So episode 1, this means episode 1 is ending right here. And John, I appreciate your time. And I say we do this once a week. I'll promote your picks every single week, and we'll talk football.
Awesome. That sounds great.
No problem. And you have a tremendous night, and everybody that watched have a tremendous night. And let's enjoy. Take care.
You too.
Yep.
Cheers.
You got it.